I hit 30,000 words in the manuscript. This is your word of encouragement for the day. Tell somebody that you're doing this.
Hello from November 1st. It is Saturday. I have my favorite bagel in the world on the way, and I have some writing that is not related to Project Laurels that I need to finish. I need to get this done and off my plate, but I made a ton of progress on this application this week that I'm working on. So my hope is that this morning I will finalize these application materials and get them out the door. This afternoon, I'm going to a very exciting double session of my D&D campaign. It's Halloween themed. We're dressing up. Tomorrow, November 2nd, is when I hope to get started in my drafting race in earnest. So I just wanted to say happy November 1st. I think we're calling it Novelember in my house. I'm aiming to write a full part of my book. It's a 4-part book. It's about 30,000 words that I'm aiming to hit. And I'm just so excited to be a part of this. I have not participated in NaNoWriMo or an equivalent since I was in high school. So I'm pretty giddy about the idea of really leaning in to a little writing race. So I'll see you later, and happy November 1st. Hello from Sunday, November 2nd, and from a very weird day for me. We had such a nice time yesterday with friends in the lead up to kind of an all-day celebration. I did finalize one of the major pieces of this application I've been working on, which was great. It felt so good to get that off my plate. We then proceeded to have like a massive feast and play a double session of our D&D campaign, and then watch World Series Game 7, which was very exciting. Went into extra innings, so we were up quite late. And then this morning we had plans to go to a new little bakery and go on a walk and listen to one of our audiobooks, but we had to reconfigure a little bit. I have asthma, and I was quite sick like 2 weeks ago, and often when I get sick I then have like an asthma flare, which is fine. They're usually pretty manageable, but this one's been pretty intense, and in particular it's like interrupted my sleep most nights, so I'm super tired and just have been having like really disruptive coughing. So we reconfigured a little. I woke up a couple times in the night, so we tried to sleep in, and then I visited urgent care. I got some steroids. And then we made our trip to the bakery and went on a little book walk, which was still really nice. In particular, it's just so beautiful. It is my favorite time of year. Fall is in full swing, and this park that we went to is just one of my favorite places to really enjoy fall. So that was nice. Came home and I spent the last like 3 or 4 hours napping on and off. Like, I'm just so exhausted. So I had all these big plans. My calendar was labeled writing extravaganza today. That's not happened. So I'm going to reset a little bit, including my expectations as well as all of my life needs. And I think my goal for the remainder of the day is to get a little bit of meal prep done for this week, finish up a little bit of final cut editing for a video that I have coming out, the video that's coming out before this one, And then I'd like to sit down and get at least a little bit of writing done on Project Laurels. So my ideal scenario would be that I could knock out a whole chapter because I know where I'm going. But I don't think that's super realistic with the amount of time that I have left. So the chapter that's upcoming has like 3 core scenes. And I think I'd be happy if I could even just get scene 1 of chapter 8 knocked out. So we'll see where that goes, but that is what I'm up to on November 2nd. Also, I actually was just clearing off the dining room table before doing some meal prep. I have a package that just arrived with a copy of this, Hero and Leander by Christopher Marlowe. I recently posted a video talking about some of the ancient Greek and Roman sources that I've been using for Project Laurels, which is, of course, a Greek mythology retelling. And something I haven't talked about as much is that, of course, people throughout all of history have been obsessed with the Greeks and the Romans, including and perhaps especially during the Renaissance period. And there are some characters who, to a modern audience, we think of in some of these core myths, who actually do not come to us from the ancient sources. They are characters or relationships and sort of myths of their own that come to us from the Renaissance period. And so Hero and Leander is one such piece of Renaissance literature. Specifically, it's sort of like an epic poem. Follows a love story from ancient Greece, but that was written in the Renaissance period. So I've been starting to very lightly poke around in Renaissance sources to better understand and contextualize some of the people and pieces of my story that don't actually come from the ancient literature, which has been really fun. And I actually found this not through like some deep, heady research on purpose, but rather I was doing my seasonal rewatch of Discovery of Witches, which is a book series by Deborah Harkness that was turned into a top-notch and very moody, atmospheric TV show. And Christopher Marlowe, the poet who wrote this book, he's a character in her books because they, spoiler alert, they time travel and they go back to his time. And they quote his poem, Hero and Leander, in the books and in the show. And so I was just rewatching, and this quote came up, and then they said Hero and Leander, and I know Hero and Leander as mythic figures from ancient Greece who are on my radar. And I was like, what is this? No way. So, a lot of ancient Greek and Roman references from the Renaissance period come to us from Shakespeare. But I came across this poem by Christopher Marlowe, courtesy of A Discovery of Witches. So you never know where inspiration will strike. But I'm very excited to have something. It's available online for free because, again, it's really old. But I wanted a very teeny tiny copy of it in hard copy so that I can take notes and have something more tangible to work with. So that was a fun little treat to get in the mail right as I'm diving into this sort of more intense period of writing on the story.
Hello from Monday evening. It was a pretty rough day. I had just a terrible night of sleep last night. I think I mentioned yesterday that I was prescribed a steroid to help manage my cough, and unfortunately it wasn't filled until pretty late in the day, which means that I couldn't take it at all yesterday. So I had just another really rough night of sleep. I was waking myself up coughing in the middle of the night and then couldn't get back to sleep for hours. So this morning I decided I would just take the day off of work. I spent most of the morning taking a bunch of medication and trying to get some sleep to make up for a terrible night's sleep. And this afternoon I was feeling a little less foggy, so I sat down and tried to get a little writing session in. I think I only wrote for about an hour or so, but I hit such an exciting milestone. I hit 30,000 words in the manuscript today, which has been tantalizing me for months. The last time I worked on this project meaningfully was in September, and I was very close to 30K then. So it was just so special to hit that number. It's just such an impossibly large number, and it's only a quarter of the size that I expect this first draft to be, which is pretty wild. But it felt really good to have such a milestone moment early in this month where I'm trying desperately to knock out as many words as possible. In fact, I would like to write another 30K this month, which might be delusional. I don't know. But that's the goal. So I think I wrote about just under 700 words in that session and went away, had a little rest, took some more medicine. And I've got some time this evening, so I wanted to try to sneak in one more writing session, particularly because tomorrow will be quite busy for me. I expect to be back at work, presuming the steroid helps me get through tonight okay. And then tomorrow night I'm DMing for my virtual campaign, which means I expect I'll have a pretty truncated afternoon, evening writing session. So tonight is a good chance to get just a little bit more progress done. I'd love to hit 1,000 words for today at least. I think if I write 1,000 words every day, I hit 30K. Is that right? That's very simple math. That's definitely right. Anyway, 30K in 30 days would mean that 1,000 words a day is right on track. So I'm going to sit down and get a little bit more writing in. I am in chapter 8, which is still in part 1. I'd hoped this past week to finish part 1 so that I was starting cleanly in part 2, and that just was not going to happen. I was still really sick, so I was not getting good sleep. I wasn't really able to wake up in the mornings and write. And I was really prioritizing that application process, which I now have 2 of the 3 biggest drafts of that application done. So I'm really pleased with that decision, and I'm just gonna kind of let go of wanting to start with this perfect clean slate with part 2, and we'll just make progress where we can. So I finished the first scene in chapter 8. I expect there will be 3 scenes total, and I'm probably not going to get more than an hour or so of writing in before I cozy up in bed. I'm trying to hit the hay super early tonight in hopes of kind of letting some of my cough suppressants take me under because they make you drowsy. So that is my hope for the evening. That's a little bit about what to expect tomorrow. I'll probably check in again on Wednesday or Thursday once I've made some more progress, especially just anticipating how busy this week is going to be. But I couldn't miss the chance to chime in and let you know that I hit 30K, and I'm feeling really energized and invigorated and excited to be back in the story. So see you later.
Okay, wait, I am about to start writing, but I forgot to tell you the sweetest little story about hitting 30K. I just really want this memorialized because it was really meaningful. But I had told my husband that I was going to be writing and that I thought I'd hit 30K, and when I did, I called him in and I was like, Luke, I did it. It's 83 pages. It's 30,000 words. And, we had a tiny celebration. And then
He left and he came back into the room like 10 minutes later with a book in his hand. And he had found a book in our home library that was 30,000 words long. And he said, like, look, this is what you've done. And it was just so sweet. Darn it. It was such a nice little way of celebrating and making that like progress, which is like totally digital right now, feel really tangible. And I guess I wanted to share that in part because I want to remember that forever. It was really cute. But also I want to share that because I think writing is such a vulnerable thing, and it's really appealing to start working on a project and like not tell a soul, because like, what if you don't finish it? What if you write it and it sucks? Like, it's such an earnest act to write, and that vulnerability is not something we always feel up for sharing. But I'm so glad that I shared that I wanted to do this with my husband. I'm also really glad I shared it with my friends and that I have started documenting this process here, because now when I don't feel like I can do it, my life is full of cheerleaders who are like rooting for my success, who think it's cool and interesting that I'm doing this, and who are curious about the process, and who ask for updates, ask how I'm feeling about it. And that is so encouraging. Like, that is part of what motivates me, is that I have people I love who are curious about the book. So if you are out there like embarking on a novel November journey, and you are feeling any ounce of like embarrassment or vulnerability or uncertainty, and you're thinking about doing this like totally anonymously without telling a soul, do what makes you comfortable. But I would love to just tell you that it is worth it to talk to somebody about what you're doing. It's been so rewarding and fulfilling, and when I don't feel like I'm up for it, oftentimes the people who I love, who know that I'm doing this, do believe I'm up for it. So this is your word of encouragement for the day. Tell somebody that you're doing this. It makes it feel better, not worse, I promise. Hello from Wednesday. I have officially hit my word goal for the day, just past 1,000 words for Wednesday, and I came in just a little under 1,000 words yesterday. I only got in one writing session because I had some campaign prep to do, but I have really surprised myself. When I started writing, I tried to approach it really generously and really curiously, and would often only write like 300 words per an hour session, sometimes hitting up to 5. And the thought of writing 1,000 words a day for this challenge felt really intimidating. Like, I had done 1,000+ word days, but very rarely, and usually only on my writing retreat. Like, I think 3 of the 4 probably happened that way. So I was a little fearful that it was like delusional to think that I could hit that word count, but I have hit it or come close 3 for 3 thus far this week on drafting days, which is cool. So it seems what I've been doing. Have I talked too much about my schedule? Yesterday, I spent some time laying out my schedule and my game plan for the month. Like, if I'm really going to commit to this, how am I going to make it happen? And I'm planning to do a morning writing session, which is my standard, and an evening writing session, which is new, every day. And then, of course, if I need to flex things, there will be some longer writing session opportunities on the weekends, which is where I hope to pick up any slack or as needed, like anticipate time and do a little extra ahead of a new week where I might be busier. I also, when I was working on that schedule for the month, decided to build in little book walks every single workday. Which is something I've talked about doing with my husband quite a lot and have largely not done. You know, it's one of those things that happens occasionally if we're both thinking about it and like make the time, but not because it's been a priority. But I really thought it would be helpful ahead of these evening writing sessions, which I normally don't do, to kind of get a little bit of a reset in. I know it's good for me to go outside. I do not go outside enough because I work from home. I just don't have to. Nobody is pushing me to. It's such a beautiful time to be outside. Fall is my favorite. All the leaves are changing. It's absolutely gorgeous. The weather is my kind of weather. It's cool. And I thought, you know, getting my body moving, getting out of the space that I was just working in and preparing to shift gears into more creative work, it would just be like a really nice reset. So we've been doing those this week. After work, we've been going on a little walk to a park. We've been listening to the audiobook that we have been so slowly making our way through, which is the third Game of Thrones book. And that has also been incredible. Like, it is delivering on everything I thought it might, right? Like, I feel energized. I feel like content and like delighted by the world around me. And I have been able to like come into those evening writing sessions feeling really good. So that is definitely going to keep happening. And I would recommend, if you are trying to stretch the amount of writing you do in a day for a NaNoWriMo style challenge, like building in a little bit of movement. It doesn't have to be like invent a whole new workout routine. Like, that did not feel achievable to me. It could just be like a quick walk outside. Of course, listening to a book, in addition to like making progress on something we both love, is also its own kind of like creative consumption that is like inspirational for what I'm working on. So I highly recommend going for a walk. If you want to listen to an audiobook, that's also great. But, you know, nature sounds are good too. And that has been a lovely addition to my days. I also like outlined how the heck I'm gonna produce this many videos. I don't normally do week to week content. It feels pretty intimidating to me too, but I've got an editing schedule down pat. That feels good. And even with some significant barriers to the start of this process, namely my lungs' inability to do their job, I'm feeling really good. So I thought I'd just offer like a couple other updates. I wrote this scene yesterday that just brought me so much joy. It's a scene that I've imagined for a long time, and is this big sort of like momentous occasion for the family that the book follows. But it's also this very momentous opportunity that I had not fully flagged would be momentous for my main character. So there's sort of this like big familial event, but it's also an opportunity for her to kind of, for the first time, flex these, I'm going to call it like magic powers that she has. The first arc of the story kind of establishes who she wants to be, what she wants to make of herself in the world. And part of that process is, you know, in terms of like major story beats, like going off to magic school, her coming of age moment. That's kind of like her fun and games moment. If you use Saves the Cat beat sheets, I think that's kind of like where all of that falls. And she's now returning home and getting to sort of use these powers that she's honed for the first time. And it's in this like very private moment. And I kind of had the realization that I had the opportunity to infuse that into the scene, and kind of on the spot was making decisions about, okay, like, how does this look for her now? I know it's going to evolve over time. and to just like get it on the page and like experiment, find what felt right. Like it just felt so good. I had such a blast writing it. And I think that has been part of what is like propelling me. In almost every writing session I've done, I've encountered like a little moment I've been excited to get to. And that just has me like rearing to go. So that's been great. I had another pretty brutal night of sleep last night. I woke myself up coughing at like 4:30 in the morning and could not get back to sleep. So I think I got out of bed at 5:30 and had like a very slow morning, a bit of a writing session, a bit of a what is the state of my life. And I am feeling pretty tired today because I don't think I've had like a full night's sleep in a week and a half. So my big plan for the rest of the evening, now that I've hit my word goal, is to start cleaning up this video, get a little editing in, and then go to bed early. So that is what is in store. Thursday is, I think, wide open. And Friday evening, I have plans to go out with my girlfriends. So I'm expecting that I will wrap all of this up after my evening writing session and before that, dinner. But boy, it's only halfway through the week. So don't let me get too high on my own stuff. But I'm feeling really good. And I hope that any of you out there who are doing NaNoWriMo too are having a similar experience of like starting off strong. And if you're not, I hope you are like giving yourself grace because there's a whole month ahead of us and we have to like find the systems that are going to get us through and carry us to the end. So I'm thinking about all of you as you are endeavoring on this crazy project too. And I will see you tomorrow. Hello from Friday and from the end of this vlog. Yesterday and today's writing sessions were a little reconfigured. Yesterday, so Wednesday night into Thursday, I had my first full night of sleep in like a week and a half. Liberating, exciting, I know. So I decided to, push the alarms and just take the sleep where I could get it. Was very excited that my lungs were maybe like finally adapting to some of the medication. So I didn't have a morning writing session and had just kind of like a stressful day at work. So I did one writing session in the evening instead of two, which meant that I was just over 700 words or so for the day, which was still like more than I write most days. I'm very happy with that number, even though it was sub 1,000. And this morning I did wake up and just kind of like amble around. I had another bad night of sleep. So we're just giving ourselves grace for whether or not there has been any amount of rest in order to do work. I was up a couple times in the middle of the night. And so I got out of bed. I, took my many medications. I, worked on a thumbnail for this video, like small low-key stuff, did some ideating about what I would write this evening. And now that work is done for the day, I've gotten in my first writing session of the evening. I came in at like just under 500 words and I'm off to girls' night with some gals pals. We're gonna grab some Italian food in the neighborhood and just catch up. We haven't had time. Just the three of us in a while. So I'm really looking forward to like getting some face-to-face time with friends, and I might have another writing session when I get home. I might not, but tomorrow's Saturday. You can do anything on Saturday. Can make up for any amount of stuff not written, so I don't mind that too much. I thought I would give you just like a couple wrap-up stats and like concluding thoughts after week 1 of NaNoWriMo wrapping. In my head, I do just call it NaNoWriMo. Like that's what it was to me when I was in high school and so desperate to like write 50K. So I think I probably will just mosey on with NaNoWriMo, and we can all just recognize that that is a reflection of National Novel Writing Month, the shared activity we are participating in, and not worry about like whether or not it's a reference to an organization that's now defunct. But yes, what did I want to share? So from my first few days of writing, November 2nd through November 7th, I came in at just under 5,000 words. Right now I'm at like 4,500, which is incredible. That's like one of my most productive weeks ever. And there is still a little bit more to come. So I'm really, really happy with the word count. I'm really happy with my feeling of progress. Like every time I have sat down, I have had something to say. I've repeatedly surprised myself. I'll be writing a scene that I think I know what beats it needs to hit, and then I will be struck with this realization that like, oh, actually there's a good opportunity to plug this idea or to weave in this sentiment that I didn't have a great place for elsewhere. And I've really enjoyed that. Obviously it is like a creation process. That should be obvious, I suppose, but surprising myself over and over again has been a fun sort of realization. So very pleased with the progress, feeling really good about continuing at this clip, and like having been flexible with my schedule. It's adapted day to day based on what I needed and what made sense for me, and that feels sustainable for the rest of the month. I also wanted to say, because this has been like a largely pretty upbeat vlog, that I started NaNoWriMo with my first like rejection as a writer, which is, an honor of its own. But I think back in August, I included in my writing retreat video that one of the days of that writing retreat I'd spent working on a pitch to Inklings, which is like a short nonfiction publication series. And the way that process works is that, they get a lot of submissions. So if you don't hear from them by the end of October, you should just like consider yourself out of the running. And I waited oh so patiently through all of October. And, on November 1st, I had not gotten an email. And so that was my first like putting myself out there in this new kind of writing capacity, and my first rejection, which I have been promised by absolutely everybody on the internet is an integral part of being a writer, a very common part, something to get practiced in, something to get used to. So obviously it would have been really exciting to get to work on that project, but I'm honestly very pleased to have just like put myself out there, and to have this like little milestone marker. Like, as a grown-up, I have put on my big girl pants and pitched to a publishing house, and it's all right that didn't go anywhere. That's what happens most of the time, but I'm getting to practice that. Like, I'm having ideas and I'm having initiative, and that's pretty cool. So I thought I would put a little pin in that too, like my first authorly rejection of the year. But yes, anything else to say before we go? I'm going to be doing these every week in November, so I will be back in your subscription feeds very soon with another vlog. I would love to know from all of you if you're doing NaNoWriMo. 1, what are you calling it? Do we have a shared vocabulary around this? 2, what are you working on? I would love to know what you are focusing on this November. And 3, how did your first week go? If you had a good week, I want to hype you up. If you had a rough week, I want to let you know it's okay. And that we're all in this together. So definitely let me know what the latest is with you and your writing projects down in the comments. And with that, I will sign off for now. So I hope you all have the best of luck in your writing projects, and I will see you all in another video soon. Bye.